Trump's manosphere is breaking. So what I mean by that is I think we've all by now watched Louis Theroux's documentary on the manosphere. He's known for this very immersive, deadpan documentary style. He's done everything from cover the Westboro Baptist Church, neo-Nazis, UFO believers, pornography, and for his latest Netflix special, he brought us into the crazy world of the manosphere. So characters, people, I've heard the name Sneeko. I've heard about Harrison, whatever. Obviously we know about the Tate brothers. He didn't interview the Tate brothers, but he did interview this guy, a bunch of them, right? And what it reveals, because he has this really good style, it just reveals that they're all just really broken people who came from really terrible childhoods without a male father figure. And they are thirsty, desperate for attention, and they found a way vis-a-vis this manosphere subject matter. And behind the scenes, you see that nothing is exactly how it seems. But the danger is that these 13, 14, 15-year-old boys are taking this seriously and believing all their bullshit. That's my
Yeah.
take. What's yours?
My take was seeing how small and frail these men actually are behind the camera, so to speak. So we're watching this documentary, but the way that they present themselves on these channels and these streams is, I just think it's all bullshit, personally.
Yeah, it is.
The
It's
way that
fake.
they act behind the camera, and all of them were extremely concerned about the way that they were going to be portrayed, right? So they all signed
Mhm.
up to do this documentary because I guess they didn't do very much research on Mr. Thoreau. Like the first guy in the documentary says,
Yeah.
this amazing filmmaker and blah, blah, blah. And then his chat got involved and he became really combative with the guy, but it really just showed how toxic this dude actually was. But I think the part that kind of hit me the hardest was when they spoke to the women in these men's lives.
Yes.
So the one guy, I don't even know their names because they're
I
irrelevant.
looked it up. I think the guy, because I was going to talk about
Men
him too. I think he's known as there's a guy named I think the guy Myron Gaines. I think that's the one. And I've seen
who
him
had his
before on
mother,
TikTok.
he had his mother on.
No, I believe that was HS Tiki Taki.
Tiki
Harris
Taki, that's right. I
Silva,
remember
Tiki
that
Taki.
guy's name. But what
Yeah.
was interesting about him was that he was very aware of the toxicity of his type of content. And before they brought his mother on, he's like, "Oh, I would never say this in front of my mom. And my mom doesn't align with any of this. And my mom didn't
Yes.
raise me this way." And so he really just puts on the suit of this toxic dude,
Yeah.
and it's all for show. What did you think about the guy's wife or partner? Or
Yeah, the Myron Gaines. So like a lot of them also, like, first of all, some of them say that they're against pornography, but they run OnlyFans channels, and they couldn't really speak to that. There was this, I think the guy Myron Gaines, who I used to see him I would get fed that guy on my TikTok algorithm because he does talk about fitness and stuff. So they're like, oh, let's try to red pill this woman. I think they were confused. That's his name. I think it's good just not to know their names. I'm happy I don't know their names. But he was talking a big game about how he's going to have multiple wives, blah, blah, blah. And then Thoreau starts talking to this guy's girl, and she didn't seem really pleased with it. And then, P.S., she left him by the time that was like, I don't think she's with him anymore
maybe
because
she saw herself on television and saw the way that this man talks about women and their relationship when she's not around. And
yeah,
the fact that he brought Thoreau to his wife later to try and kind of like smooth over and show this is normal in our household. This works for us. And when they put the married couple together and they're asking questions, you could just see it all over the woman's face. I mean, the first girlfriend too, it says later that they broke up in the episodes.
that's what I'm talking about. So I was talking about the guy who does the podcast with the OnlyFans girls, and they make fun of them for their body
Oh yeah.
count. They
Yeah.
broke up for sure. And then, oh, you're talking about like the
The
real
MAGA
estate
guy
agent.
that actually
Yeah.
went to the White House. So one of the guys
Yes.
episode, again, I don't know any of their names. He has pictures with the president. He
Yes.
very I think he's kind of trying to break into some sort of Miami political thing. He's, like, in the
Uh-huh.
right-wing influencer kind of circuit, like, I'm seeing photos of him at things like that, but
Yeah.
his partner, that was the one that was really shocking to me is because he was speaking as if this open marriage, was this totally normal thing.
This is Justin Waller you're talking about. So
Yeah.
Justin Waller is the Miami guy who has a house somewhere else with his wife. Right.
Yeah. And when you look at these women when they're talking to them during these interviews, you can see like this isn't what they want for themselves. I mean, I hope that no woman would want this for themselves, but it's just show the hypocrisy, like you were saying, how they don't support porn, but they're managing OnlyFans models. And then there was that other guy with the S. What was his name? The younger kid from New York City.
I think it's
Nico,
Sneeko.
yes, so one he was really interesting as well because, he's going into these right-wing pipeline talking points and talking about wanting to stop, pedophiles and, like, all this and that, but he's, like, a staunch Trump supporter that's, like, all over the Epstein files, and you
Yeah.
just there's just a real lack of awareness and hypocrisy going on here, but it just showed how deep this world is because I refuse to go there normally on a regular basis. I
Yeah, I
won't
don't wanna know.
I
I
won't.
feel like I know we're being confusing because we don't know all their names, but I think it's bad for our mental health to know all their names. Like, and you know who wasn't in it, who I listened to a whole podcast about
Yes.
Clavicular, who's the one who basically takes every medicine known to man and hammers at his jaw to have the perfect jawline. I listened to a podcast about him as well, and it's the same kind of very kind of confusing, the same kind of bullied as a kid, actually admittedly on the autism spectrum. He says it's his superpower, obsessed with numbers and measurements and stuff. And I think at the end of the day, like, these particular figures have their own issues, and that's an understatement. But the danger is the fact that they've had, I'm saying past tense, no, they continue to have a lot of influence on young men.
Yeah.
And, they get to them with their insecurity and maybe, like, desire to have a fitter body and, stronger minds and stuff like that. But then it's insidious. And, like, as we know, it helped elect Donald Trump, right? It's
Yeah.
all connected. So I do think listen, the downside is that kids are still listening to this shit and it's really toxic and terrible and dangerous for society and humanity. The upside is that this documentary did a really great job, like, just pulling the curtain aside and letting us see behind the scenes about who these people really are, what they're up to, their modus operandi, and hopefully it's the breaking of the dam, like we said.
I mean, I saw something earlier today on Threads, and we've seen it over the last couple of weeks, but Joe Rogan is trying to take a hard turn off
Yeah.
of this ramp. And so I think part of what we're seeing in politics and in this documentary, we're watching a dying of the patriarchy. This is like a
Yes.
dying animal, right? This is the
Yes.
last burst of trying to do something because I also learned this week that women in our age demographic that are child free, we are the majority now, actually.
Whoa.
The majority now. So we're taking off. And I think these are the last cries of patriarchy. But what we learned from this documentary, though, is how fucking powerful the internet is and
Yeah.
what it can do and houses that it can tear down overnight.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I also, speaking of online personalities that we're talking about ones that have influenced politics, but, like, maybe not on purpose, but were weaponized by MAGA. There's this really popular, we're talking millions of followers, online personality who does these really funny skits and stuff. His name is Druski, and Druski doesn't do politics. Like, Druski, I don't think people ever think about him as a political commentator.
He's a
And I think
comedian.
he's a comedian. Right. So, and what do comedians do? They have their pulse on what's the vibes? What is the zeitgeist? Right. And they help us kind of navigate, understand what's going on, right, with humor. And I think it's really, really significant that he decided to, parody the conservative women. And he claims that he didn't really mean to portray anyone, but, the fireworks and white suit and his white face makeup, and blonde hair made everyone think of Erica Kirk, but he never said he was being Erica Kirk.
Hey, let's be fair. This could have been Caroline Levitt. This
Yep.
could have been the lady that was wearing the Handmaid's Tale colors dancing at CPAC this week. Like,
Oh,
clearly
yeah.
been any of these characters,
Oh,
but
yeah. That was the point. But immediately, I mean, there's a lot of like fake tweets out there and real tweets. Erica Kirk definitely had something to say about it. And it's like, babe, how do you know what it's about you? Are you that aware of what you're doing?
I mean, I feel like a lot of us, even no matter what side of the aisle that we're on, watching that woman grieve has been like a very strange experience. And I feel like he just kind of blew the lid off on like how fucking weird what they're doing is. Like, this is not normal behavior. This is not grieving widow behavior. This is not a murdered wife's widow shooting fireworks
No,
at her asshole. You know, it's
no.
just, I think I'm loving to see. I mean, they've made fun of it on SNL. They've made fun of this. Like, a lot of people are parodying this, but for whatever reason, this one really just hit the nail on the head. It's got
Yeah.
millions of views. The right is reacting to it. The left is reacting to it. And so I really feel like it just started more conversation and thought about
Yeah.
a topic that I think is fucking weird.
It's been fucking weird since day one, right? And I do think that it showed like the theme here is just like the tide is turning in these subtle ways. And the way you look for signs is not what's going on in the political space, but in the pop culture space, right? Because at the end of the day, pop culture, it's only going to be effective if it's putting a mirror on how everyone else, the majority is feeling, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, SNL doesn't have the same kind of capital, same kind of power that it used to have when we didn't have all the options of streaming. So them parodying Trump only goes so far, like with the clips it works. But I think when you see someone like Druski choosing to do this, it shows you that people who don't really pay attention to politics are noticing this weird stuff
They're
as
knowing some
well.
part of the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From, I'm gonna say, a pretty neutral lens, like, as far as I
Yeah.
know. I definitely don't know which side of the aisle they swing, but this is getting everyone talking, and it just shows the power of the internet and social media and how it can change tides and how it can win or lose elections. I really feel like this week, social media was used for a lot of good, because
It
did you catch
was.
the catching print video that I sent you earlier this week?
Yes, I did, but I think you need to describe it to the audience in a safe for work way.
Ladies, this is for the ladies.
Ladies, come in. Come in
Men
close.
the men are feeling objectified and triggered because an amazing creator named Anwar White is really popular on TikTok. I'm sure he's on every single platform, but he is a gay man that teaches women about men, things that they want, about how to date them and things like that. So it's from a man's perspective. So he's gay. Well, this week he taught us all how to catch print. And it has all of the men triggered. So the catch print video is very educational and informative. And I think that every woman should go and check this out. He basically teaches us how to tell the size of a man's junk outside of his clothes. He has graphs, he has examples, he shows the
It's
celebrities of
crazy.
how you can tell what size the D is. And let me tell you, the amount of videos that I'm seeing of men saying, "This is dangerous for men, and this is gonna cause violence towards women," and I just think it is
Violence to
amazing to see
women.
them so triggered and to feel uncomfortable in their own skin and clothes for the first time, because men have been commenting on our bodies. For me, the first time it happened, I think I was 12 the first time
Oh,
something like
yeah.
that happened to me.
100%. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, the script has been flipped, and, I think we're gonna see the male loneliness epidemic increase due to this
Oh,
video.
oh, no. Not the male loneliness epidemic. Everyone needs to watch the video.
So good.
The tide's turning. I mean, maybe we're manifesting it, maybe we're cherry picking, but let us cherry pick. Can we have these little cherries, please? Please? We've
These
been through
little
so
moments
much.
of joy and laughter are, I think, is what's gonna get us through these times, and I know I definitely have my moments and have had them over the past year where everything felt very doom and gloom, and I know we're in the middle of multiple wars going on and horrifying things going on in the world, but I really think that we still have to find time to laugh at things and
Yeah.
use the power of comedy and creativity to change culture.
That's the whole point of this episode. So Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back
Next
next
week,
week.
more toxic topics, baby.
Yeah, there's just so many. There's such an abundance.
Endless amounts of content.
Endless. So you know where to find us. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.